What's up, everyone? Shoe Booty Sports coming at you the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, November 26th. I'm your host, Graham Powell, on this screen. That's Bradley Brown on the other, listed as Bradley. Say what's up, Bradley.
What is happening?
Well, week before Thanksgiving, we have that going on. Some kind of wrapping up the regular season of college football. We'll talk about that and more. First, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Y'all know the drill. Shoe Booty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon, and the one of a kind Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience. Track it with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the submit results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section while you're there for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series. You can find us, Shoe Booty Sports, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a like and follow while you're there. And follow us on X at Shoe Booty Sports. Okay. Probably heard it in my throat as I was kind of going through that. Getting over the cold that I had last week, so I think I sound better this week, but still have some remnants of it sticking around. So I'm almost there, but yeah, just at the finish line, but not quite through it yet. Okay, interesting shade of Titleist hat that you have going on, by the way.
Shade? Gray?
Yes, I like it. I don't know, whatever it is. Is it a basic gray or is just the lighting funny?
It's just the basic gray. I think. I don't
You
know if
could be
there's more than one gray, but
there's lots of grays, man. Look at any modern car out there today. Multiple modern cars. Anyway, it's a gray hat. I like it. So there you go. Okay, so let's start with the Razorbacks because they got to win. Beat La Tech and they're bowl eligible. That may mean they end up in the CarQuest Bowl or whatever the heck it is. Is CarQuest even still a thing?
I don't know. But my guess is it's going to be the Liberty Bowl. It seems like we always get that. So
Really, even at 6 wins? I figured they'd be at the taxslayer.com bowl or
could
something
be.
like
I don't know.
that. The TurboTax Bowl or the Mandarin Orange Bowl. I would take that. It's like a Orange Bowl, but a lot smaller for a 6 win team. But Hogs are
Yeah.
bowl eligible. That's a reason to celebrate. That's something I didn't think would happen.
Nope.
Sam Pittman was asked about his job security, which I think he gets asked that probably after every game at this point. Is Sam Pittman back next year?
Yeah. If he retires, no, but I don't think we're going to get rid of him. Um, Probably.
I don't know the details of his contract. But it seems like it seems like what everybody wants to, and by everybody, I mean people in charge want to do, is ease him out, make it as smooth as possible, and hand the
Yeah.
keys over to Petrino. That's just what my gut is telling me. That's what I kind of thought would happen. I thought the writing was on the wall when the Petrino hire was made.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
but I mean, 6 wins is more than I thought they would get. I think a lot of it too will kind of depend on how the bowl game goes. Bowl games don't matter to at least a lot of the younger people now, but it's your last game of the season. It can leave a good or bad taste in your mouth. Um, that's what started Brett Bielema's downfall. It wasn't the season he got fired. It was how the season before that ended. You get upset by a Missouri team that you were way better than, which isn't something we've been able to say many times in this battle line rivalry. That's been pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
But then to lose the same way to Virginia Tech in the bowl game, that started Bielema's downfall there. So a lot of and Pittman, when they had that back and forth with Kansas, that was the most defenseless game I've ever seen in that bowl game. Um, whatever it was, 3 years ago at this point, or we're pushing that. There was no defense. Arkansas looked like they were going to run away with it, and then they couldn't stop a nosebleed. But they got the win, and so ended the year 7-6. I was like, okay, well, you had a winning record, you won the bowl game, what have you. So it can, when you're in that position where Pittman's in, where it's like you don't really know, it's not crystal clear what's going to happen one way or another. It could tilt in his favor if they, I don't know, get the win in the bowl game or even surprise Missouri Friday and come up with a win there. Um, we will see what happens for sure. But if for the brass, the people in charge, that would be my guess is they want to say, here, take your money, go to your lake house in Hot Springs, enjoy retirement. We're going to hand the keys over to Pittman. You left it in
Yeah.
better condition than when you got it. It's a good way to end things. That would be my guess as far as what they want to do. What happens, we will find out. Well, let's pick that game, the Battle Line Rivalry game. I heard a stat like Missouri was up in that like 11. They're winning that series 11-4 or something like that, which I didn't realize that it had gone on that for that long. I don't know if that's correct.
It's better than the A&M game or series.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Before, I think it was before even A&M joined the SEC. They just made it the Southwest Classic, and this was during Petrino's time as the head coach at Arkansas. Petrino's 3-0 against them as head coach, and then it's just been Arkansas's won one time since then. Since 2012, A&M's won every game but one, and that's wild. That's wild to me. It's not considering everything that happened if you know the full story, but still, it's kind of crazy. Okay, so all right, battle line rivalry game, Arkansas, Missouri. Who you got? What's your score?
See, it's at Missouri, right?
Does it matter?
No, not really.
I mean,
I
maybe
mean, Missouri's not as good as they were, last season, of course. They're still good though. I don't know, maybe it's going to be a close game this year. But with it being at their place, oh, I don't know. I assume they're going to win, but I don't know. We've been playing well on the road this season. Um, I think there is going to be a lot of points scored, so we'll say 30-27, Missouri.
okay. You got a pretty close game. Arkansas got bowl eligible, but they did it against Louisiana Tech. They haven't been very impressive in games against opponents that they shouldn't, throttle in the last month or month plus. I'm going to go Missouri. Just they're a better team. History just shows they own this series, but it is a completely different team now, especially with NIL regarding the Razorbacks. But a lot of these Missouri guys are back. Quarterback back from a year ago. But still, I mean, it's a much more talented team on paper, and it's at their place. And say what you want about Eli Drinkowitz, but he's a better play caller than Sam Pittman is. Not Bobby Petrino, but as far as head coaching goes, it's night and day there to me. Which is better? I'll say Missouri. I'll say 37-21. I don't think it'll be that close. I think it'll kind of feel like it might be close early. Arkansas's defense shows up in the first half, so it might be, I don't know, 14-7 game at halftime, but I feel like Missouri will run away with it in the second half after making adjustments. That's kind of how I predict it'll go. We'll see what happens. How much did you see the Arkansas La Tech game?
No, I watched 0 snaps.
Same. I saw the all red uniforms Arkansas had. I did like that. That was kind of neat to see. I don't think they've done that this year, but
I didn't even see that. So,
no, I just saw the images and stuff. Excuse me, from the game. But Arkansas took care of business, did what they were supposed to do. Okay, other games over the weekend. Notre Dame throttled Navy. I think you picked, or was it Army? It was Army.
yeah,
Throttled Army. Uh, you picked Army in that, didn't you?
yeah, it's because I don't like Notre Dame.
Yeah, but you think with your head on this, not your heart. At least as far as picks go. Yeah, I thought their luck was going to run out there, and it did. Um, my mind hasn't really changed either way about either team. Um, Notre Dame, I think will put together an impressive record, but if they get in the playoff, they'll probably get throttled by somebody.
I don't think there's any probably to that statement. They will get throttled.
Oh, there you go. Guaranteed. Okay, Alabama loses again, and not even close.
No, didn't even score a touchdown. And to who might possibly be the worst team in the SEC or in the mix for it. Um, yeah, who didn't see that one coming?
Yeah, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised by that. Is that
I'm
that was my reaction.
I'm shocked that they scored 3 points.
Yeah, to see what they did to LSU 2 weeks prior or whatever it was, and then that's what you do.
Yeah.
Um, well, how about Florida by the way, jumping to another team in the SEC, getting another win they weren't expected to get, which is kind of weird to say, but just based on what we've seen from Florida the last couple of seasons under Billy Napier, they said they're keeping him as the head coach, and I'm not going to say the tide has shifted, but it has a little bit. You have to be feeling better about at least the last 2 weeks. You
Yeah.
beat LSU, and then you turn around and get another quality win there. I mean, they're finishing strong. If you're a Florida fan, or I guess you're optimistic.
I mean, who they have left? Florida State, and they're going to wipe the floor with them, surely.
That's the thing, though. I feel like that's one. Surely, yes, but
It's a rivalry game, so who knows?
well, and here's the thing: it just feels like that's kind of been Florida's luck under Billy Napier. As soon as you get like Anthony Richardson had that massive game at the beginning of last season, and they blew out whoever it was, Utah, I think it was, and I don't know if they blew them out, but they beat them comfortably. And you're like, okay, this Florida team's looking all right, and then they just get waxed for that stretch. You finally put together two quality wins back to back to end the season, get bowl eligible, and then watch them like turn around and lose a game like this, and then you're just right back to where you were. Like that a loss to this Florida State team would do that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I would still pick Florida to win that game, but that just I also wouldn't be surprised if we're on here next week talking about, well, yeah, that happened. Um, Ohio State beat Indiana comfortably. I think we both kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
Uh, Looking at the Week 14 12-team college football playoff bracket projection, Oregon's still atop in that number one seed. Of course, you got four byes like in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Right now, it's Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Boise State in those quarterfinal slots. And wow, okay, listen to these teams. Have you looked at it at all that they have in the
Yeah.
first round?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a projection. Arizona State against Ohio State. Tennessee and Georgia, not shocked by that. Indiana, Penn State, I guess you could say that's, okay. And then Notre Dame and SMU. That would be that's to me the most fun matchup on there if it happens. SMU and Notre Dame, up and coming SMU, which they re signed or they extended Rhett Lashley, the head coach there. So they've locked him up for a little bit, I guess, until somebody wants to make throw an astronomical number at him and buy him out. Never know what can happen. that would be a fun one to watch. Notre Dame SMU, another one that everyone outside of South Bend, Indiana, will be pulling for SMU. I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not? I growing up, SMU was always a terrible team that would go to Arkansas and War Memorial Stadium and beat them in the mid '90s. I remember that. Of course,
Yeah.
the death penalty, set them back decades. I mean,
Yeah.
not a decade, decades plural. And to
Might as
see,
well, yeah, been the Stone Age.
yeah, and to see them back and playing like this, of course, they got a heck of a coach and Rhett Lashley who's had success everywhere he's been as a coordinator, and we see what he's doing as a head coach. So pretty cool to see that. Man, that would be cool to watch. But we are wrapping up the college football season. Auburn, a 4 overtime win against Texas A&M,
Yeah.
and Auburn stormed the field for that, which
Of
seemed
course.
weird to me. But
Why not? I mean, talking to Barry, he's like, yeah, we finally pulled one out. It just proves to him that they should be undefeated with 6 losses on their schedule. So I'm sure there's a lot of Auburn fans in that same boat. So,
okay, jumping back to, or I guess continuing on with college football, but jumping conferences. Colorado got beat, so
yeah, they could kind of drop the ball on that one.
yeah. Who did they even lose to? I mean, I know it wasn't a top 25 team. I don't even remember who it was at this point.
Kansas.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Not a bad loss. Looking at it on, you just say that and you're like, I'm not surprised. But Kansas hasn't had a good year by any means.
no.
Uh, does that knock Travis Hunter out of the favorite spot for the Heisman? I mean, that's really the only reason to talk about it at this point. And is that
N- no, I don't think it does. I mean, maybe if they drop one more and he looks just god awful doing it, probably. But with 3 losses, I still think he's all right.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be coming back. And that Boise State running back who's already got over 2,000 yards. It's making him look a lot better after that for sure, especially considering Boise State they've lost one game and they're projected to have a bye round in the college football playoff.
Hmm.
I don't see how you don't at least plunge him into the serious conversation category. If you were voting today, who'd get your pick? It's basically those two, right? I mean, it's nobody
Yeah.
else.
No. Who would get my pick right
Who-
now would probably be Hunter.
Yeah, I do think he's the best player, like just all around player in college football. But I also heard an argument like this guy, like talking about the Boise State running back, you compare his numbers to Derrick Henry's Heisman season, and they're even better. Now, granted, I mean, Derrick Henry was doing it against SEC opponents, but still, I mean, numbers are numbers. And the argument for like Travis Hunter was he plays a lot of
He
snaps.
plays both ways, yeah.
But that shouldn't that shouldn't matter as far as or it does matter, but it shouldn't be that big of a factor as far as your decision making goes. But he also has over 1,000 yards and leads the team in touchdowns and has 3 picks, I believe. So it's not
Yeah.
like it's just meaningless snaps he's out there playing. He's the
Sounds
best.
like
Sides of the ball.
the kid from Boise State needs to start throwing some passes for touchdowns instead of just running them in.
Yeah, maybe. But I would say just continue doing what you're doing. If you're Boise State, you're having a lot of success just doing things the way that you are. And I mean, the dude can run the ball, obviously. Okay, talking about a running back for Heisman, let's talk about what's gaining momentum as an NFL running back for most valuable player. Saquon Barkley killed me in fantasy this week.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad I wasn't going against him.
well, I won by 3 points. Okay, I won by 3 points. I'm tied for first in my league at 8-4. I've won two or three in a row. Okay, but here's the thing. I was playing a guy who just clearly hasn't checked his stuff all year. He had
Yeah.
three guys that were hurt and just not playing. Three guys. And then between Barkley and two other guys that had 30 points each, I almost lost. Like it took Lad McConkey to get that 4th and 5 reception that would have ended the game had they not converted the Chargers. It took Lad McConkey getting that catch for 3 points to give me a 1 point lead, and then McConkey caught another one later on in the drive to give me a 3 point win, a 3 point win. But yeah, Saquon Barkley had 46 points against me, and I wasn't even mad. I was like, you know what, whatever. Like that's just amazing. That's just amazing and fun to watch. Him and Derrick Henry. And here's the thing: Derrick Henry reportedly wanted to go to the Cowboys. Wanted to go to the Cowboys. He would not have the same success in Dallas that he's having
No.
by a million. Uh, Saquon Barkley, we saw what he became. I forgot about him. I forgot about him in New York. He
Oh
just
yeah, dude. I'd
he
already labeled him a bust, like because he wasn't doing anything.
yeah, I just well, a guy that just kept getting hurt. He kept getting hurt and he couldn't stay out there long enough to do anything.
Yeah.
And he didn't do much when he was in there. And then he goes to the same within the division, goes to a division rival. This is how poorly run the Giants are right now. You let your best player go to the division rival.
Yeah.
Now he's on pace for 2,000 yards.
He's
Wow.
being the player we all thought he could be whenever he got drafted.
He is being the guy that we thought he could be. That's exactly right. And it took the right situation. I mean, you could say that so much of a player's career is going to be based on where he ends up, not entirely his talent. I mean,
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, they traded up to get him at what, like pick 10? The Chiefs? They traded up to get him. So Patrick Mahomes went to a playoff team. He went to a playoff team right away and got to sit a year behind Alex Smith and just learn and just stepped into a quality team and arguably a all-time great head coach on top of
Yeah.
that. Brady with the Patriots. I mean, we could do this all day, you know. Peyton Manning he ended up with 2 rings, sure, but the Colts were terrible when they drafted him. It was a
Yeah.
god awful franchise, and it took a long time for them to become one relevant, two contenders, and then three get over the hump against a quality team in the playoffs. Going back to okay, just comparing running backs, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. I mean, all-time great backs. One statistically had a better career than the other long term, and at least had more success as far as being on a team.
Yeah.
And Barry Sanders is the best running back I've ever seen. I
Yeah.
mean, Emmett was great too, but you put Emmett, you switch those roles.
Yeah.
What's that look like? What's Emmett Smith's career look like then? Here's another one that you'll really relate to. Darren McFadden, one of the greatest running backs in SEC history. Uh, I watch Brandon Walker and guys at Barstool do that thing where they sit and then they show images of great running backs and say, speak up when there's a better running back than this guy. And they showed Darren McFadden. And they showed all these guys. Like Reggie Bush was included, and nobody said a word until Barry Sanders popped up. And then it's like, okay, yeah, that guy's better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was thinking you were going to say until Herschel popped up. But
that too. But I mean, it was. I mean, Darren McFadden was the 4th overall pick in the NFL draft, but he was drafted by the Raiders. Yeah, he made
yeah,
a lot of money on that first contract. This is when rookies were getting bigger deals than 10-year vets. So I mean, he made a lot of money, but he didn't have much success.
he got ran into the ground and with the Raiders.
Well, just didn't play on a. It was just a poor team, just a
Yeah,
poorly run team. No, poor offensive line, poor offense. He was not set up for success, and his NFL career just became forgotten. He's known as a great college running back instead of a great pro running back. And he had the talent to be that, but the situation, it was a recipe for what we got out of his career. Again, he made a lot of money, so I don't feel too bad for him. But you think, if only could he could have gotten drafted to another team. I mean, just piggybacking on that, you and I were watching the draft like the following year or so
I
when
was
they
just
had
thinking about that. Yeah,
another lottery pick or high draft pick, and we're like, okay, we can get an offensive lineman, to quality offensive lineman to block for
yeah,
DMAC. Darius Hayward Bay, and because his 40 time was great at the combine, and
yeah. Never
Darius
heard of the guy. Yeah, here
never
comes
heard of
Darius
him.
Everybody.
Camera goes to him, and he's in shock that he got picked that high. He's like, they really picked me that high. He didn't even believe it, and of course, not much of a career there. So just yeah, so much of it is situational. But anyway, Saquon looping all the way the massive loop back around to Saquon getting momentum for MVP. I understand it and can get behind it. Now that's just a really good Eagles team, really good Eagles team, really good offensive line. The Eagles and Lions offensive line. I mean, they are just night and day above any other offensive line in the league. Especially when you see what the Chiefs are dealing with every game. It's amazing the Chiefs have only lost one game. I mean, they squeaked by the Panthers. They squeaked by the Panthers this past week. Every other play is a penalty.
Yeah,
It's a holding call, and it's always on the same guys too.
yeah. I'm sure Vegas made a lot of money off of that game because everybody thought Chiefs are going to come out all pissed off since they lost one to Buffalo, and yeah, and then they come out and almost shit the bed. So
Well, but I mean, it shouldn't be surprising. I mean, this is the Chiefs.
that's
This
how
is
they played all year. Yeah,
yeah, everything is a one possession game with them, but they've won what 10 of 11 of them. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Uh, but the Ravens and Chargers game was interesting to me. The Ravens clearly just looked like the better team down the stretch. I mean, it just was like, yeah, the Ravens are just better. Um,
yeah. Thank
Herbert,
God for Lamar Jackson, man. He won me my fantasy this week, so I won by 4 points.
yeah, and Lamar's Lamar. Yeah, that Quentin Johnston guy, he could not catch a ball to save his life in that game, and you could tell it got in his head too.
Yeah,
Like you could tell at that point he had to be thinking just don't throw the ball away, or
yeah.
like because it was that bad. I mean, it was as bad as you'd see. It was almost like Kadarius Toney in a sense. It's like once you start failing, it snowballs. Like it's in your head, and just things just keep going wrong.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it looked, and that's what it looked like. And it was one game, Tony did it for a whole season, and eventually they just sat him. He was a healthy scratch throughout the playoffs, and then cut him. But that's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit. It's like, man, it's just getting worse. Like he's open because he's not because he's not a threat. McConkey's going to catch that ball. Um, but yes, I would have done the same thing if I were the Ravens.
It's like letting Shaq stand wide open at the 3-point line. Nobody cares. It's
Yeah,
like-
we're Draymond. Sure.
yeah.
Take that shot, Draymond, while wearing your imaginary backpack that you have on. Um, that still trips me out. When I heard Nick Wright talk about that, because he was apparently beefing with Draymond, and I think he was on Cowherd's show or something. He said, well, since you're tight with Draymond, tell him that it's okay for him to take that imaginary backpack that he's wearing off when he shoots those threes." And I was like, it does look like that. It does look like he's shooting a three with a backpack on. All right. Other stuff going on. College basketball. Hogs improved to 5-1. They beat whoever, Maryland East Coast or something, by 1,000 points. It was like 130 to 35, something ridiculous. Uh, but they very much took care of business there. Hogs play again Thanksgiving
Really?
afternoon against Illinois. That's a top 25 matchup, I believe. I believe Illinois is ranked 25th. But yes, Hogs and the Fighting Illini play each other at 3 p.m. Thanksgiving Day.
Speaking of Illinois, man, how about old Bert? Hmm.
What are they now, like record
Eight,
wise? Aren't they a
eight and
top?
three.
I say, aren't they a top 25 team?
Yeah.
Well,
Good for him, man.
Bielema's is back where he should be,
Yeah.
like Big Ten football. Uh, I mean, he had a really good thing at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
He expressed frustration with certain things, like losing assistant coaches. But yeah, but you were a winning program, and you had your style of play like established. Like it was known, like, okay, this is where the big, strong linemen are going to go, and we're going to run the football, and we're going to have success at it. And then you tried to come to the SEC, to a second tier SEC program at best, and then try to play like Saban's Alabama football better than Saban and Alabama football
We almost did it that one time.
that one time. It didn't go well the rest of the times,
No.
but we know how that ended. But anyway, good for Bert on having success this season. Seeing him go from that to bouncing around the NFL as a whatever he was. I don't even know what you call it.
Yeah. Like a consultant or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah. Well,
consultant.
Arkansas was paying him not to take a college coaching job. So,
Yeah, and it was money well spent as far as I was concerned for Arkansas. Like, no, when Missouri put up 700 yards of offense on us, people were griping about getting fired on the field after the game, and I was like, and as soon as they hit 700 yards of offense, somebody needed to
yeah.
go down there and say, okay, you're done. Like this is it.
Give me that headset.
Yeah, that's it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Take your money and go. Uh, but he's turned it around apparently at Illinois. I mean, Illinois is not known for success in really any sport. I mean, they have
Yeah.
good years in basketball, but not great. To see see them 8-3 in that conference, that's the Big Ten, which is really 20 teams now. Okay, like I haven't seen who all they play, but you've won 8 out of your 11 games. Like, okay, I'll give credit where it's due. So I mean, yeah, good for him there. What else is going on that we've missed in the sports world, Brad? Because we're obviously
Mm,
super prepared this week. That's my fault. Dexter had a vet appointment today, so got all
mm.
his shots and Good
Well, I
stuff.
mean, we didn't talk about old Danny Dimes getting to play free safety in the Giants practice the day before they released him.
That really happened.
Yeah, that really happened. They had him on scout team, playing free safety.
So just they just trying to insult the kid, or like what's
I,
going on?
I don't know. I wonder where he's going to end up. He said that he of course he wants to go to a title contender, which of course the first team you hear out of the gate that's wanting to go after him is the Raiders, and the Raiders aren't exactly contenders. So
Well, here's the thing. I mean, saw that Saquon commented about it. I'm glad they released him,
yeah,
and for I mean his and the Giants, you know, for their sake, for the sake of everyone involved. To Saquon basically said, I mean, look, we saw how things were with me there, and I got in a different situation, and we see how that turned out. Hopefully, the same can happen for him. It's not, you know, unfeasible that that could happen.
no, because
It's
he's had great games. He's he's had games where you'd be like, yeah, I can see his nickname being Danny Dimes. Then of course he's had games where you're like, what game is this guy playing? Like, what is he even doing out there?
yeah. I would want him if I'm him. I'd want to go to an offensive coach. Like I'll just I'm trying to think of where I would want to see him end up that would give him best position to be successful. And just looking at it, yeah, nothing, nothing really pops out as far as because all the good teams, the title contender teams, they're taking a
Yeah.
quarterback. It would take like an
Who's
injury or something,
who's
but
the Chargers backup?
I don't know. But I mean that's I see what I would be thinking would be if like it would be like a Minnesota situation, like if Darnold wasn't playing lights out, but I mean, heck, they're 9-2, so that's not going to happen. But I don't know. I mean, Jordan Love has had issues. I mean, to go play under Matt LaFleur for a while, Green Bay might be a good spot, I would think. But Malik Willis has played well in that backup role too. When we thought
Yeah.
he wasn't going to do anything when he was drafted. So, excuse me. I don't know, but best of luck to him. But we're out of time, so we'll be back and I don't know, we'll talk about the Battle Line Rivalry and more next week. Till then, see y'all next time. I'm Grandpa.
Brother Brown.
This is y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble.
Peace.